Where do you go and what do you do when you are stuck in your mind? And by in the mind, I mean when you are going deep into the thoughts and deeper and you feel stuck in there and it feels all consuming to the point where you are feeling anxious and you feel uncomfortable and possibly even scared. Feel like you just can't escape it. It's almost like you're paralyzed by the cages, the walls of your own mind. Paralyzed by your thoughts, we can say. And it really doesn't feel good. The kind of overthinking where if you're the person who has done work on yourself to better understand yourself, it almost feels like, have you actually? Because how are you in this deep? Hello, my friends. Welcome to Valerie's Garden with me, Valerie. Last week, I was having a few days where I was getting deep into my mind and these thought patterns from my past were starting to consume me. I was starting to experience fear and kind of like this discomfort where I felt itchy in my own skin. I have learned to be present with my feelings and thoughts and emotions, even the ones that are uncomfortable, understanding that they come and go like waves and to just and to recognize that I am the one experiencing them, I am observing them. But sometimes when it's so deep, it's like those lessons don't matter, right? Like it's overbearing. And sometimes there's this part of me that's like, endure. You can endure these things. Continue, stay. Think them through a bit more. Find the answer if you stay in your mind and keep searching. No, that is simply not the case. And at times I've even wondered if I do just do something else, am I just escaping what I'm uncomfortable with? But this is a lie. This is not true. There is a limit and there is a boundary. And I would be lying to myself if I said that staying and thinking is going to give me a solution and some relief from what I'm experiencing. There is no right or wrong answer, but to say that it's best to stay in the mind and sort things through. That is another trap and trick of the mind. And it keeps you there. It keeps you stuck. It keeps you paralyzed. It keeps you in a state of fear. And this is from personal experience. I have also been an outsider and a witness to someone else going through deep cycles of overthinking to the point where I can see that the pain to the point where I can see that they are bringing upon themselves more pain than the initial experience even caused. And words are easy. It's easy to say, stop overthinking. Just stop overthinking. But what actually gets you out of your head? Well, that. Getting out of your head. You get outside of your head. If you are stuck in your mind, get out of it. So I want to share with you ways to get out of your head and get out of your mind when you are in the cycle of deep overthinking. The first way is through movement. And I absolutely love this one because sometimes it feels actually like the hardest one to do, getting up and shifting into a new state. Go do a workout or to go outside and run. But movement doesn't need to be this high intensity thing. You can dance, you can do yoga, you can go for a walk. This is one of my favorite ones because not only are you shifting your energy to do something different, like your whole state of being, maybe you were laying in bed or just sitting on the ground or wherever you were when you got into the state of overthinking, maybe your car. By moving, you start to release these feel-good endorphins. You change your scenery. Honestly, going out into nature and doing movement there is add 10 points. Like that helps so much. I very specifically remember this night when I was training for my marathon and I think it was an off day. I don't remember the exact situation. I just remember I was sitting on the floor in my bedroom, in my room, and I was overthinking. I was thinking about an experience from my past relationship, and I was telling these stories of what it meant about me and my future and who I am as a person. And I just remember feeling like absolute shit. Like I did not want to do anything at all. I didn't want to do anything. And it wasn't that I just didn't want to do anything. I feel like I was wimping internally about like everything in my life. Everything was pissing me off in that moment. I felt like a bother to the world around me. I felt like my family was tired of me being sad over the same thing. I just felt so like I don't care about anything. Even thinking about like running, it was just like, oh, I don't care. But I want to say thank you to that past version of me for recognizing that being there wasn't going to help me at all. It was just going to make me feel worse. And so even knowing that I felt like absolute trash, I knew I had to do something about it. I knew the last thing I wanted to do was go for a run, but I knew I needed to get out and do something. And it's also easy to overthink, well, should I go for a run? Oh, I don't want my energy to be off and bring that out into the world. I'd rather just stay here, keep my contaminated self to myself. But I didn't think too much about it, because if I did think too much about it, I wouldn't go. And there was a run club happening. I think it was like at 7:30, and I got myself up and I got myself there. And I ran. I met new people, and I didn't really want to meet new people. I was actually very happy I was very happy staying on the wall in the corner and just kind of observing. It was a really big run club. There's like over 100 people. Oh, okay. Actually, so I just remembered now, I actually wasn't training for the marathon yet. I was thinking about training for the marathon, and they were doing a marathon giveaway, a marathon ticket giveaway that night. That's actually correct. So I just remember I was going to be fine being there onto myself. But then someone came and spoke to me, and just speaking to other people and everything about getting my body out and up and moving felt incredible. It changed the trajectory of my night entirely. Did I feel perfect? No. But was I out of my mind and feeling so much better? Yes. Did I do something great for my body? Yes. So my first piece of advice is to get your body moving. For me too, another great way that I just in general like to process emotions and thoughts is through dance, whether that's with my hula hoop or without, and just really not even thinking about it as a performance, but just feeling and being present with it. And it's happened. I can think of another time specifically where I remember I just started crying as I was dancing, but it was the release that I needed to process and move on. Another great way to get out of your mind is to once again get out here. Sorry if you're listening. I'm just showing, like, get out through using your voice. There are a few ways you can do this, and singing is a very powerful, transformative, energy alchemizing tool. Singing. If you've done this before, you probably know that it's really, really incredibly helpful. Another time I can remember is that when I was with my friend and we were in the car, and I was going into my mind again, and I was overthinking, and I let him know that, yeah, I was going through something, but I didn't want to speak about it. I had done enough speaking about it. I didn't want to speak about it. And what we did instead was put on some songs and just start singing out loud. Well, that got me out of my mind. And once again, I feel like I was able to process and release my feelings and what I was going through my words and through song. And if you don't feel like singing, even just speaking what's going on in your mind out loud, whether it's to a tree, whether it's to a stuffed animal, whether it's to yourself in the mirror. It's nice to speak out loud to inanimate objects as well, because it's like they're present and they're listening to you. And they're listening maybe because they don't have a choice, but they are there for you. And of course, speaking to a friend, speaking to a family member, speaking to a friend who you trust and can be so freaking honest with and vulnerable with, that is extremely powerful too. And I just want to add this reminder, because sometimes when I'm feeling so bad and so in my mind, I don't want to let anyone in, and I want to and I close off. I don't want to let anyone in. I do feel like, oh, I don't want to put this negative energy out there. Having someone you can speak to who will listen and not judge you is a gift. I was going to say, I want you to remember that you're not being a burden to this other person. But sometimes I'm not going to lie. Sometimes if you keep going and if you keep repeating and repeating, if you keep repeating over and over and over and over again to the same person about the same thing, I do invite you to try another technique, whether it is movement or singing or something else. Because yes, it is true that people do have their boundaries, but you are not powerless, right? You have options. There are things you can do. And you can even work with a therapist if you feel like you do want to speak something over and over again. But for the majority of the time, people in your life do want to be there for you. So know that you can open up and share what you're going through. And you can even communicate with that other person like, hey, I want to speak about this. Do you have the capacity to take on what I want to share? And that is a nice way where you can meet in a way that feels good for everyone involved. That's tip 2, the power of using your voice and your words, either through singing or speaking out loud. And a third way to get out of your mind when things feel very overwhelming is to get it onto paper. Oh my goodness. Even if on paper you're going to be talking about the same thing that you're thinking about in your mind, there are different brain pathways that are being used. So you are processing in another way. And it's kind of like you're taking all of this junk up here and you're just shifting that energy onto a paper. The paper is okay. Your diary or journal is fine. It can hold that. And that's another thing too. Recognize and know that your paper is free for you to be as honest and truthful as you need to be. Sometimes in my past, I've held back from just like writing everything down and getting it all out because I'm like, well, what if someone reads this? But no. That is your space. That is your safe space to write what you need to write. And another fun thing you can do if you need to or would like to really just let it all dissolve is to burn the paper or the notebook once you're done using it or writing in it or whatever it is. I have done that before with writing things on paper, and it is so liberating and you feel like it's a release into the world. And I know this has been said before, but trusting that the air and all of the elements know what to do with that energy. I think that the beautiful thing about the human experience is that there is not just one way to deal with things. We all have access to different things. We all have different preferences for how we go about things. So I could go on and on offering different ways to get out of your mind. For example, through your creativity, through painting, collaging, working with your hands on a physical project, gardening. For me, one thing I did a lot when I was in Australia was seashell hunting, and that just really brought me into the present moment. Taking a cold shower, cooking a new recipe. You can really do any activity that just gets you moving into a new state. But staying stuck and staying exactly where you are, that is what will eat you away. And that's what will keep you in the loop. This is kind of random and I'm just thinking out loud now. But people always say you're spiraling, right? Like down, 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 down. But is it a spiral or is it a fixed loop, like a circle? Going round and around. Because yes, I understand you're going deeper and deeper with a spiral. Let's say. Like, yes, you think you feel like you're going deeper and deeper, but you're still stuck. You're still circling around the same thing. So is it a circle? So once again, there is no one way to do things. There is no right, there is no wrong. But I do challenge you to pick an activity that doesn't bring more harm to you. I've heard stories from friends and been witness to situations and experiences from family members where things got so heavy inside of them that they resorted to alcohol or drugs or even sex. Just these things that may feel like they're a solution in the moment, but they're fleeting things, and depending on what it is, can actually do more harm to the person. And there is no judgment here. There's truly no judgment here for me. We all go through the things we need to go through. We all do the best we can with what we know at the time. And sometimes even if we do know that there is better, or a quote unquote better choice to make, we don't choose it. And that's okay too. That is okay. If you clicked on this video and you're listening because you are going through something that feels overwhelming and hard to carry on your own and for yourself, please know that these times pass. Please know that you will get through it. Please know that you don't need to do it alone. Please know that it is okay to ask for help. And because I was just feeling this way not too long ago, I felt like I was broken. So I want to say to you and remind you that you are not broken and everything is going to be okay. Okay? You are safe. As I wrap this podcast up, I also want to mention the power and importance of the breath. Sometimes just taking deep, grounding breaths, really filling up your diaphragm, so your belly, and releasing. You can do a 4-4-4-4. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, release for 4, and hold at the bottom for 4 counts. Without even thinking about it too much, you can just do deep breaths. And trace your breathing. With different breathing techniques, you can change your blood oxygen composition and it changes your state. So if you need some grounding or anxiety reducing techniques, you can look on YouTube, you can look online. There are different ways to do this. But deep, long breaths will get you through. Okay, thank you so much for being here with me on this episode today. These are reminders for you just as much as they are for me. So we got this. Have an absolutely incredible day, and I will see you on next week's episode. Bye.